Good day, good day, good day. Happy Thursday, as they say. Thankful Thursday. Give a couple of minutes for everyone, those who are coming in. I know we are 12 noon, so if you've been following the lives, let me take these glasses off. If you've been following the lives, the last challenges, then you know yesterday we announced that we will be on a little later for today because we had some morning things we need to do. So today and tomorrow, we're coming on at 12. Tomorrow is the last day of our 5 day challenge. So I hope that you guys have been rocking with me. Those who've been rocking with me, I hope you've been rocking with me. Those who catch the replay, do me a favor, hashtag replay. I'm really kind of operating on some fumes around here because I had to get up early this morning. So I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes, let some people join. Um, let some people join. Let some people join. And I really can't see who comes on, which is the craziest thing to me. So do me a favor, guys. If you come on, let me know you're on. I'm gonna jump right in. Today is another one that is not gonna be um a lot going on. We just coming on and we're just dropping information for you guys. Um, my face is so red, so red. I'm trying to share this out. Share this out to some people. To my fellow business owners. Hopefully you guys can jump on. Hopefully you guys can jump on. So today we're going to be talking about asset protection. Can you guys hear me? Hopefully you can. Today we're going to be talking about asset protection. Asset protection. So we're going to get started in a couple of seconds. I see some people jumping on. Hope you guys are having a great morning thus far. Hope you guys have been following the last 4 days, or Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We talked about a lot, but we're actually just coming on to share some information to challenge you as business owners to take your business to the next level, to do the necessary things that is needed so your business can last for a long, successful journey of entrepreneurship. So yeah, we're coming on. The purpose of our community is to come on to give you guys some insights, to give you guys some information and resources and tools and the things that you need to really take your business to the next level at operate at a maximum level when it comes to your business, shifting your mindset. So just a quick recap while those who are coming on, giving time, Facebook enough time to send out the notifications. Oh, which someone told me I needed to do something when I do come on. So let me do this real quick. Um, yeah. So let me do this. Everyone, there you go. Okay. So just to kind of give a recap, of what we've been talking about. I don't know why I can't share this on my regular page. But we've been talking about millionaire mindset shifting our mindsets to millionaire status, right? We've been talking about that, what that looks like, how to shift our mindset, how to shift our thinking um, from employee to CEO, right? How to operate our business, operating, working on the business and not in the business. Whatever. I'm about to be done with this. Am I still on? Hold on. Yeah, yeah. And so we've been talking about that. We've been talking about not only shifting our mindset from a CEO, from a employee status to a CEO status. I'm trying to go back real quick, guys. And for some reason, it's not giving it to me. Okay, there you go. So we've been talking about that, shifting our mindset, right? Shifting from an employee to CEO. We've been applying biblical principles, because the foundation thereof has to come from a biblical foundation. Number one, and our business, we have to be faith driven and faith led, purpose driven, not income driven, faith driven, not fear driven. In CEO operating as mindset and not an employee mindset. So we talked about all these things. We talked about putting systems in places, having a proper structure, right? Having the proper SOPs, making sure your business is proactively being prepared for anything to come as far as the future. We talked about putting specific systems in place. We talked about when to become an S Corp or when to become an LLC, when you should come from a sole proprietor to a LLC, what that looks like. So we dropped definitely some gems in this 5-day challenge and what we've been talking about. Yesterday we talked about tax planning, money moves, right? This is tax planning season. So in tax planning season, these are the things there are certain things that you should be doing now and not waiting to tax season to actually try to do it. It really just doesn't work, and you really don't maximize on what it is you need to maximize in. So today we're talking about asset protection. We're talking about asset protection. And these things we've been talking about is on a high level. When you join the webinars, that's when we really dive into the meat of the thing, right? That's when you really dive into the meat of it. Right now, we're just doing things on a surface level. I'm just giving you the information that you need. And then once you go out and do what it is that you have to do as far as a business owner, then at that point, you want to dig a little deeper or go a little further, then that's when we can talk about it, right? But I'm giving you the blueprint now. So, asset protection. What are the essentials to asset protection? If you've been following the live or you've been following the last few days of challenge, you know we start with a biblical principle, right? We are a kingdom minded business owners that work in the marketplace. We building the kingdom in the marketplace, right? We're living from principles, right? Principles that can manifest in the earth if we apply them, right? So our theme scripture for today, day 4, asset protection essentials, is Proverbs 22:3. If you notice, most of our scriptures, since the beginning of the challenge, is coming from the book of Proverbs. If anybody know anything about the book of Proverbs, it's considered the book of wisdom, right? And our wisdom and understanding, right? So Proverbs 22:3, it says, "A prudent man foresees danger and takes precautions. Thus, the simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences." Asset protection. We're talking about protecting our assets. Protecting our assets from who? From whoever think they can have access to them, right? A prudent man foresees danger and take precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffer the consequences. This a lot of times what business owners do. They'll start a business, they don't have no business plan in place, they don't have no systems in place, they haven't even begun to start systems in place, but yet they're talking about their CEO, their full-time entrepreneur, all these different things, and nothing is in place. And then when things end up happening, it end up costing us more than it should if we would have simply put things in place before, right? So here's the first principle. Remember, A prudent man foresees danger and take precautions. We got to take precautions, guys. We got to take precautions. Okay. So we're going to just touch on, again, real short. I'm not going to be on here long, probably maybe 15 minutes, if that. We're going to talk about how to legally protect your business and personal assets. We're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on how to structure business layers to limit risk, right? There can be layers to limit risk, right? And then we're going to be talking about long-term thinking through legacy protection tools. How do you protect your legacy? How does the rich, or how does other cultures we know thereof protect their legacies, protect their assets? What do they do, right? There are vehicles and tools that you can put in place as business owners to protect you from the beginning. Now, why is asset protection? Why is it critical? Why is it critical? Because we live in a litigious, that's the word, litigious society. We live in a litigious society, meaning litigations, right? Litigations, all civil court, federal court, all type of courts, right? Litigations. That's the type of society. People thrive. You know, there are people literally that is out here thriving or work hard at suing other people, work hard at being in court, right? So that's the type of society we live in. So you want to make sure your assets are protected at all costs, because when those different things arise and you really get caught with your doors wide open, you can literally lose everything from a simple misunderstanding or from a simple mistake, something that probably could be at your own or not. But those different type of things can happen, right? One lawsuit or emergency can wipe out years of progress. Let's think about that. One lawsuit, you've worked hard for certain things. One lawsuit or one emergency can wipe out years of progress. That's the purpose of insurance. Now, 9 times out of 10, if you just live in life and you live in a productive life and things like that, the different type of insurance that you have, you never really use it or have to use it unless it's an emergency, right? If you have renter's insurance, for example, the only time you really need to use renter's insurance if something was to happen in the place that you dwell in, right? Anything that you have to use insurance for. But you're paying monthly payments for it in case, right? It's better to have it than not have it, right? Think of people who have families who passed away and they did not have life insurance. It can be due to some tragedy, maybe, or even something just being irresponsible. There are people out here irresponsible and don't want to pay for life insurance, which is crazy to me, but they don't want to pay for life insurance. And then in the event something happens, now the family is trying to scrape up pennies and all GoFundMe's and all these different things to try to pay for a funeral because they don't have life insurance. So what am I saying? Protect your assets. You have to be cautious and you have to be proactive in protecting your assets. All of this other stuff is fine. But if you don't have these things that is high priority in place, you can lose years of you working hard for something. You can lose it within a matter of a blink of an eye, right? You can't build wealth if you're always vulnerable. You cannot build wealth if you're always vulnerable. You're always moving on impulse. You can't build wealth like that. Remember, we talked about it the other day. A CEO or a millionaire mindset is to think for the future self, not for the right now, not for things that is immediate, but things that are future, right? Meaning long-term gratification, not immediate gratification, right? So you can't build wealth if you're always vulnerable, right? You need something immediate. You cannot build wealth that way, right? Here's another principle. Biblical principle. Genesis 41:34 to 36. Read it on your own time. But it talks about Joseph. Joseph created a strategy for famine before it came. Wisdom prepares for what hasn't yet happened. Wisdom prepares for what hasn't yet happened. Wisdom prepares for what hasn't yet happened. It says Joseph created a strategy for famine before it even came. Before the famine even came, Joseph created a strategy. What strategies do you have in place for your family? What strategies do you have in place for your business? In the event something happened, do you have strategies in place? Do you have emergency funding in place in case something happens in your business, right? Do you have those different things in place? Because those are the things that you have to talk about. This is why asset protection is so important, right? Now let's talk about tools for protection. Remember, we talked about this the other day in system structures and scalability. We talked about proper business structure, LLCs, S corps, a holding company. What is a holding company? A holding company is like the umbrella. It's the holding company for all of the other businesses that you have under this umbrella. You have your holding company, then you have your individual LLCs and S corps and so forth. One well-known business strategist always talked about the trifactor. I don't know if you ever heard of Mark Kohler. He always talk about the trifactor, right? That is the ultimate form of protection in protecting your assets, the trifactor. Now, the ultimate form of protection that we often talk about is the trust, having everything in the trust. There are several types of revocable and irrevocable trust. These are things you want to look into. These are things you want to think about when you're talking about asset protection. But when we're talking about a holding company, that holding company has all the subsidiaries and all your other businesses in that company, meaning nothing can come back to you when we're talking about asset protection, business protection versus personal assets, business assets versus personal assets. Nothing can come back to you. Remember, we talked about litigations. We talked about any event something happened. You don't want to end up one day and have to give your house away because that's your personal asset because your business wasn't protected. So making sure your business is properly structured is key. Insurance, this is another form of protection. We just talked about it, but we're talking about business liability insurance, right? We're talking about professional liability and then life insurance. We're talking about these type of tools that can be essential in protecting your business, right? Separating personal and business accounts. I don't know if you caught the video that we did or that we posted yesterday talking about commingling of funds, piercing the corporate veil. This is an IRS a violation, an IRS fraudulent, a violation when you pierce the corporate veil. That can put your business. You can lose protection. You can lose legal liability protection against your business if the IRS finds you piercing the corporate veil. What does that mean? Commingling of funds, operating your business out of a personal account and vice versa. You're mixing your funds. You're operating out of the same account. That can fall into commingling of funds. We don't want to do that. So you want to make sure that you separate your personal and your business account. This is a form of protection. Okay, guys? Trust and estate planning. I just talked about it. You have revocable living trust and then you have irrevocable trust. Revocable is living and you can make changes all while you are living. Irrevocable, meaning it cannot change. This is after you deceased, right? But there's all types of trust. There's life insurance trust. There's trust just particularly for your assets. It's ways. It's hundreds types of ways for you to be able to protect your assets. Okay, I'm just giving you the tools that you can use, the tools that you need to look into if you do not have them and put them in place when it comes to protecting your assets. Okay, protecting your business. Okay. So we talked about making sure your business is properly structured. We talked about insurance, different types of tools, instruments, right? We talked about making sure you have separate personal and business accounts. These are critical. Trust and estate planning. Trust and estate planning, right? A will is good, but you'll find yourself in probate court. You need a trust. You need proper estate planning. You need power of attorneys for different avenues of your life, different areas of your life. You need a power of attorney for your finances. You may need a power of attorney for your health. You may need a power of attorney for your assets. Like you can use you can get a power of attorney to for those things. And then you have a trust. Then you have proper estate planning and trust is critical. Now I hear this all the time. I don't have nothing to put in a trust. I don't have what I'm doing estate planning for. I don't have an estate. This is the mindset of a lot of people. Ignorance meaning simply do not know. Estate planning is not necessarily that you got to have an estate per se. No, an estate planning is all of your assets, everything that you have to manage, everything that you have that needs to be dispersed, even when it comes to the debt that you owe. Estate planning is something that you is a tool is planning your estate, right? Yeah. So when you hear I don't have this or I don't have that, when I'm gone, I'm gone. That's it. Baby, you will find people fight over bubblegum. Okay? People fight over. You ever want to see a family destroyed? Let someone pass away. Okay? There's this thing called entitlement that just overtakes people. Why? I don't know. Then you have pride, all these different things. You find people in court because they only had a will. You find people doing deceitful, undermining things because they're trying to go around things for their own selfish gain. All these different things. And when I say it can be something as small as a bubble gum, it can be something as small as perfume or cologne that people will fight over. Yes, unfortunately, you got to be that tedious and almost that petty for your things to be protected for your legacy for generations and generations to come. So we're talking about asset protections, right? Here's another principle. Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Legacy is intentional. It must be protected. Legacy is intentional and it must be protected. Legacy is intentional and it must be protected. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Unfortunately, there's a lot of selfish people out here, selfish family who are living for themselves and not living for their seeds to live on, right? So let's talk about some of the mistakes to avoid, which we kind of touched on them anyway. Commingling of funds, piercing the corporate veil. We do not want to get found doing that. Money laundering when you think you're not, but you actually are. Separate your business and your personal. Operate with. So these are mistakes to avoid. That's what I meant to say. These are mistakes to avoid. Commingling of funds. Operating without contracts. Yes. Get a contract for everything. If you have a business, a part of your structure of your business being properly structured is an operating agreement. An operating agreement. You want to have your owners draw contracts. You want to have your shareholders loans contracts. You want to have your owners distribution contracts. All these different agreements, all these different things you want to have in place. These are some of the mistakes that you have to avoid when it comes to protecting your assets. A handshake is not it because people do not trust handshakes anymore, especially if you're in partnerships. You want to have contracts. I mean, all the way down to the paint on the wall. You want to have in those agreements and in those contracts because any little thing or any loophole, you can find yourself and your business at risk, right? No operating agreement or partnership protection. I just talked about that. That's a mistake that you want to avoid. You have to have an operating agreement. Okay. No insurance or too little coverage. Sometimes you do have insurance and then you find out that you're not covered. Let's think about our parents and foreparents. Our foreparents, when they had insurance and then they end up passing away 80 something later in their years, right? 80 in the, later in their years, and they've had insurance for so long, right? I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say that their parents had insurance and then come to find out the type of insurance that they had was not the insurance that will cover them now in the event that they passed away. So what do you do about that and things like that? You sit and you take a look at your documents. You take a look at your paperwork. Make sure from time to time, you make sure that your things are up to date. Make sure that you don't have to do adjustments. Remember, one of the mistakes again is too little insurance. Over time, in years when you've acquired different assets and you've acquired different things, right? You may have to reevaluate your insurance. You may have to reevaluate where you are when it comes to your life insurance, when it comes to asset protections. There's some, if you have a trust already set up, over the years, you accumulate assets to where you need to go back and reevaluate your trust and have to put those things in there. All of these things plays a part in asset protection, in protecting our assets. And it has to be essential, one of the essential things. So mistakes that you need to avoid again, commingling of funds, operating without contracts, right? No operating agreement or partnership protection. If you're in a partnership, make sure you have an operating agreement, right? No insurance or too little insurance. Again, reevaluating, coming back to the table, take a look at where you are with your business and see if you have enough liability insurance. Or maybe you need to go back to the table with that, and maybe you need to get more. Maybe you need to switch carriers. All those different things you have to reevaluate over time and from time to time, not assume that from the start thereof and so many years in past that it still holds the same value, or it still holds the same it still holds the same, because time change, rules change, regulation change, and laws change, right? So you want to make sure, this is why tax planning is so critical too, because year over year tax laws change. Tax laws change. 2026, I believe, will be the last year even for bonus depreciation. At one point, you can take up to 80% of bonus depreciation, but each year it has dwindled down and the percentage has gotten less and less. So the tax laws change. So your business change from one year to the next. If you increase in your business, you increase in your revenue, you need to come to the table and do some tax planning to see if you're paying the right estimated tax payments, right? If you have the right strategies in place, maybe you need to do some different type of strategies or add some other custom strategies to your business. All of these things, guys, are critical and important when it comes to asset protection in your business, okay? So we're down to our takeaway. We are down to our takeaway. Again, this is day 4 of our challenge, Asset Protection Essentials. This is what asset protection, why it is critical. We talked about that. I gave you the different tools for protecting your business, your personal and your business assets. I gave you the tools for that, right? So let's talk about homework. And I need you guys to be intentional and engaging within the group as well. So check your business. I just talked about it. Check your accounts and your policies. Check the policies that you have. That's the word, policy. I don't know what was I saying, but check the policies that you have. Your liability, the different types of insurance that you have. Professional liability, right? Business liability, your business license, right? All those different things. Do a check, do a survey check. Do a check and see where you are with those things. What needs to be changed or not, right? List what assets you need to protect, whether it's your home, your vehicles, your intellectual property, etc. What assets that needs to be protected? What asset needs to be protected? My kids thought I was crazy when my husband, ex-husband, late husband rather, years ago for my birthday bought me a mink coat, right? We got it appraised. Nice piece of change. My kids thought I was on something when I put it under my insurance. That's my personal asset. I put it under my insurance. They thought I was crazy. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Okay? So list your assets that needs to be protected. What do you have that needs to be protected? Your home, your vehicles, like I said, intellectual property, personal items, things that's been in the family for years and you wanted to continue carry on. List those assets that need to be protected. Research and schedule a meeting with an estate planner. Why don't you, if you never sat or had a meeting with an estate planner, now is the time to do so. Think about doing that. Just have a meeting to get a better understanding of what it means. You will be surprised. Okay? Have an estate plan, what that looks like, so you can get an understanding how you can protect your business. These are the things that we have to put in place and do. Okay? And here's your action plan. Out of what we just talked about, reviewing your policies, taking a look at your agreements and where you are with that, listing your assets, the ones that need to be protected, setting up a meeting with an estate planner just to have one, right? You can't lose anything with that. After you do all of this, your homework would be, what is the one thing that you would do to protect your assets? So out of all of that, your action to that is, if there's an asset that needs to be protected, if your business needs to make sure that it's properly structured, maybe you need to get a holding company. If you need to sit down with an estate planner because you realize you have so much assets and nothing is really protected, do those necessary things. Whatever it is that you're going to do, your action, your takeaway actionable plan to do it is to actually accomplish it. Okay? That's it. That's all we got for day 4. I'm telling y'all guys, I'm operating on fumes right now. But that's all we got for day 4. Asset protection, guys. We talked about asset protecting our business. We're talking about building wealth, leaving a legacy, right? And it's some things that we just really got to do, and we cannot keep putting it to the side any longer. There's some things that just have to be done. Like I said, even if it's just setting up a meeting with an estate planner, if you never sat with an estate planner, if you don't even know the ins and outs of what that is or what it takes, all the nuances involved in estate planning, simply get on a call, meet up with an estate planner just to simply find out. You never know. Like I told you, the code that I got, it's an asset protection for me. Now other people might be like, girl, that's just a code. When you go on, you can't wear it, you're right. But for me, it falls under asset protection, personal assets for me. So again, last, and I'm letting you go. Check your accounts and insurance policies. List your assets that needs to be protected. Take a look at your policies. If you don't have any policy, look into liability insurance. You gotta have these type of things, because people will sue you for walking across the street the wrong way. Okay. And research and schedule a meeting with an estate planner, financial advisor, tax planner, whichever one you need to do to take your business from where it's at to the next place. Do that. Okay. Now, that is day 4 of our 5-day challenge. Tomorrow, which is the last day, we're going to dive into funding and business credit power plays. Okay. Funding and business credit power plays. This is going to be a good one. And it's pretty much going to sum up everything that we've been talking about all week. It's going to come down to the end. Like I said on yesterday, the purpose thereof of our 5-day challenge is to position yourself for working capital, for funding, whatever that looks like for you to grow, scale, and expand your business and really take it to the next place stress-free. All right. So again, we are here tomorrow at 12. So meet me here tomorrow at 12. If something changed, I'll let you guys know. But tomorrow, as of right now, the timeline is going to be 12 p.m. That is our last day. And then I need you guys to be on the lookout, cut your notifications on, because something else is coming even sooner. Before this month out, before the month of June is out, something else is coming for us to dive into as well. All right. That is all I have until next time.